On this episode, get ready for a jam-packed history lesson about the World War II B-29 Superfortress bomber, as well as an exciting flight experience aboard dock, which is one of only 2 airworthy B-29s still in operation today. And all of this takes place at the historic Lunken Airport in Cincinnati, Ohio on August 31st, which just happens to be the 80th anniversary of the original scheduled date for Japan's surrender to the U.S., bringing an end to World War II. Additionally, this endeavor marks an even greater celebration in my family, as my dad, 5th Army Air Force Corporal Robert W. Heffner, was once a crew member aboard a B-29 while serving in Korea during the early days of the Cold War from 1947 to 1949. This is going to be an amazing trip, so climb aboard, buckle up, and let's take to the skies, right here on History and Relics. Lunken Airport is located in Cincinnati, Ohio, and sits atop the lands that were occupied by the first settlers in this region in 1788. Historically, this land was known as Turkey Bottom. Fast forward to 1921, the airfield area was originally named the Dixie Davis Flying Field, after pilot and barnstormer John Dixon Davis, also known as Dixie, who began giving flying lessons at the field. In 1925, the airport's name was changed to Lunken Field, after Eshelby Lunken, whose father, Edmund H. Lunkenheimer, ran, and his grandfather, Frederick Lunkenheimer, founded the Lunkenheimer Valve Company in Cincinnati in 1862, which produced steam valves and whistles for riverboats. In late 1925, barnstormer John Paul Riddle and entrepreneur T. Higby Embry founded the Embry-Riddle Company, becoming the first commercial aviation company to move into Lunken. They sold planes and airplane rides. The company's advertising slogan was, "If it's flying, we do it. If it's airplanes, we have them." They also boasted as one of the biggest flying schools in the country. On August 6, 1927, famed aviator Charles Lindbergh landed the Spirit of St. Louis at Lunken Airport, making Cincinnati one of 75 stops following his historic solo crossing of the Atlantic Ocean earlier that May. In September 1928, Embry-Riddle sponsored an air race from Los Angeles to Cincinnati. 19 total aircraft were entered. During festivities, Jimmy Doolittle performed aerobatics over Cincinnati. Arthur Goebel claimed a $3,000 first prize with his Lockheed Vega, finishing in 15 hours 17 minutes, with an average speed of 129.47 miles per hour. Embry-Riddle later became aviation company Avco, but several years later branched off its airlines company to form American Airways, which today is American Airlines. In September 1930, a formal dedication of Lunken Airport took place, declaring it the largest municipal airport in the world and solidifying the city of Cincinnati owning it. The city of Cincinnati had first accepted a land gift from the Lunken family for the airfield in 1925, then purchased additional acreage in 1928 through a bond issue, followed by taking over the perpetual lease from the family to operate the facility as the city's main airport. The 3-day dedication celebration included such notable figures as Howard Hughes, Jimmy Doolittle, Jean Harlow, and Freddie Lund. During World War II, Lunken Airport made significant contributions to the war effort by functioning as a strategic military, logistics, and maintenance hub for the United States Army Air Forces. The airport's large hangars and extensive grounds were essential for supporting the military's needs. Lunken Airport also housed the Cincinnati Air Depot, which was a critical facility for storing, maintaining, and modifying aircraft during the war. Fast forward again to 1964, Lunken Airport was a landing site for the British invasion, as the Beatles made Cincinnati their 7th stop on a 25-city tour. They played at the Cincinnati Garden on August 27th at 8 p.m. Several presidents, first ladies, and other government officials have also touched down at Lunken Airport over the years, including former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt around 1960, Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter at separate times in 1976 while campaigning for the presidency, Vice President Al Gore in early 2000, President George W. Bush and Ohio Governor Bob Taft later in 2000, and finally, President Trump and First Lady Melania in early 2018. And currently, the Lunken Airport hosts its annual Airport Days, which this year featured several historic and restored planes, including the B-29 Mitchell, named Berlin Express, a P-51 Mustang called Gunfighter, and the B-29 Superfortress, named Doc. The B-29 Mitchell bomber soldiered in every theater of war and gained notoriety in April 1942 in the heroic Doolittle raids on Tokyo. The P-51 was a long-range, single-seat fighter bomber used in various tactical reconnaissance roles, but was also the signature aircraft of the Tuskegee Airmen, who provided crucial long-range escorts for Allied bombers. Then we have the B-29 Superfortress, whose name references its predecessor, the B-17 Flying Fortress. The B-29 was designed for high-altitude strategic bombing, but also excelled in low-altitude night incendiary bombing. 2 B-29s brought an end to World War II, with the first being the Enola Gay, flown by Colonel Paul Tibbets, that dropped Little Boy, an atomic bomb, on Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. The second B-29 was Boxcar, piloted by Major Charles W. Sweeney, that dropped another atomic bomb named Fat Man on Nagasaki on August 9th. The formal surrender of Japan was initially scheduled to take place on August 31, 1945, but was postponed due to severe weather until September 2nd. The surrender took place aboard the battleship USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay, between General Douglas MacArthur and Japan's Foreign Minister and Chief of the Imperial Japanese Army General Staff. Nearly 4,000 B-29s were built by 3 manufacturers: Boeing, Bell Aircraft, and the Glenn L. Martin Company. The B-29 has a wingspan of 141 feet 3 inches, a length of 99 feet, and a height of 29 feet 7 inches. It's powered by 4 Wright R-3350s that each have 2,200 horsepower. It has a maximum speed of about 358 miles per hour and a range of about 4,000 miles. It was normally fitted with 8 to 12 50 caliber machine guns, with many in remote-controlled turrets, plus 2 other 50 caliber guns and a 20 millimeter cannon in the tail. It could carry bomb loads up to 20,000 pounds and has a maximum takeoff weight of about 140,000 pounds. Empty, it weighs just over 72,000 pounds. The first B-29s went into service in September 1942, and the last was built in 1946. Today, only about 26 B-29s remain and are primarily on static display in museums around the world. The Enola Gay can be found at the National Air and Space Museum in Chantilly, Virginia, and Boxcar is on display at the National Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, Ohio. However, only 2 B-29s are still airworthy and flying today: FiFi and Doc. We had a chance to see and go aboard FiFi in 2019 when she was at the Vienna Airport in Vienna, Ohio. FiFi was acquired by the Commemorative Air Force, a nonprofit organization out of Dallas, Texas in the 1970s. She was found by members of the organization at the U.S. Navy Proving Ground at China Lake, California, where she was being used as a missile target. FiFi was rescued and restored. She flew over 30 years until 2006, when it was decided to ground her for a complete overhaul. 4 years and $3 million later, FiFi was restored once more, including having all 4 engines replaced with new custom-built hybrid engines. FiFi returned to the skies in 2010 and continues wowing crowds today from coast to coast. As for Doc, she was delivered to the U.S. Army in March of 1945. In July 1951, she was assigned to a squadron known as the Seven Dwarfs, who did radar calibration duty. In 1955, she was assigned to target towing duty, but by March of 1956, Doc and the rest of her squadron also became bomb and missile targets for U.S. Navy maneuvers at China Lake, California. Finally, in 1987, Tony Mazzolini found Doc and started making plans to rescue her. 11 years later, in April of 1998, Tony, along with several volunteers, towed Doc out of the Mojave Desert. In May of 2000, Doc was disassembled and trailered to the Boeing Wichita plant in Kansas, where dedicated volunteers spent countless hours beginning the restoration project. In February of 2013, the organization Doc's Friends was formed, a nonprofit organization led by Jeff Turner, retired CEO of Spirit Aero Systems, along with a group of Wichita aviation enthusiasts and business leaders. The group oversaw and managed Doc's restoration through to completion. Doc became airworthy in June of 2016, and on July 17th of that year took her first post-restoration flight. In April of 2017, she attended her first of several air shows, where she drew record crowds. Today, Doc continues to excite and amaze thousands as she travels across the U.S. on her History Restored tours. And that's exactly what we're participating in today at Lunken Airport, the Lunken Airport's annual Airport Days, and a flight aboard Doc as part of her History Restored tours. Today's adventure is extra special, as it just so happens to be on August 31st, the original scheduled date of Japan's surrender in World War II, as well as a day to commemorate my dad, 5th Army Air Force Corporal Robert W. Heffner, who served primarily in Korea between 1947 and 1949 and being stationed at Kimpo Air Force Base. Among the areas he was trained in was topography mapping, as well as aerial photograph mapping. He conducted reconnaissance among other important duties. He was also a crew member aboard a B-29. So today is going to be real special, having the opportunity to fly on one of these great remaining Superfortresses. So let's head out to the field now as we prepare for this exciting excursion.
B-25 is off the Doolittle Raider is off USS Hornet. All right, so the very first attack on Japan, and the B-29 is the very last attack on Japan. So if you flew on both the same day, right, on the 80th anniversary of it, right? Yeah, just telling you. It's just you can crawl from nose to tail in that airplane. There's assigned seats, but nose to tail once they get up in flight. So ours, if you're in the forward section, you got to stay in the forward section. Aft section, you got to stay in the aft section. But it's just a different flight. So say 25 today, you could say you started on the
you know, you're the one that's John.
Ride flight passengers or family with ride flight passengers? Okay, awesome, wonderful. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Josh. Thanks so much for joining us today. Beautiful day to fly a B-29. We got the greatest job on the planet flying a B-29 to honor the brave men and women who continue to serve today, and of course to honor the greatest generation and talk about what they did during World War II. Special day, as I mentioned, to fly on a B-29 today, 80th anniversary of the surrender of Japan. So thanks for joining us. Today's Mark Novak. He's got hear me, because otherwise somebody will start an engine as soon as they're talking. So, thanks for coming out. More people see us in the next hour than whatever time we're going to museum. See an old airplane that they can't touch or feel or anything. So, thank you. Thank you for the support. FAA requires me to tell you that the aircraft is licensed experimental. It's not in the standard category. What does that really mean to you? That means that the airline or the military standards on airline standards. No interior. You'll see some wiring. You'll see some cables. Please don't pull the cables. You think you'll be flying, but we have better seats up front to drive the boat. The way you get on the airplane is usually the way you get off the airplane. There's a ladder in the front. There's a ladder in the back. If for some reason that ladder falls out or somebody grabs you or runs away, there's other ways out of the airplane. There's a window up here on each boat. This hatch up here by the flight engineer. There's another big hatch at the back of the airplane opposite the ladder. The bubble windows have a handle. You pull the handle in and the bubbles on the side. So if you have to get out of the airplane quickly, use your own initiative, find a way out, or follow from the enemy. In the back of the airplane, go 100 yards behind the airplane. In front of the airplane, go 100 yards in front of the airplane. Use those counts to make sure we have everything. We're going to be about 20 to 25 miles away from the airport at the maximum.
The reason we get to do this is your contribution, what you're doing here today with us. We get to share it with you, but thank you so much for that. Otherwise, what happens with the B-29? It's in a museum and it's behind a rope. You're never going to hear it, smell it, see it, much less ride on it or anywhere in it. So you're the reason we get to do it. I want to thank you for that. I'm going to hand it off to Ben.
Hi, Ben Powers, flight engineer from Dallas, Texas, retired Navy guy. Like Mark, I could always be employed somehow. So, thanks for coming out.
There's 6 of us on board, 3 in the front, 3 in the back, and they're led in the back by Greg.
Hello, my name's Greg. I'll be your right scanner today. Retired Cessna aircraft, been with Doc about 4 years. Really enjoyed the experience, hope you do too.
John Flynn, I'm from the Chicago area originally. I've been in Wichita 15 years, and I'll be the left scanner. Been with Doc about 3 years now.
I'm Doug Sherwood. I'll be your aft scanner in the air-conditioned seat today, and I hope you have the best experience of your life today. Thank you.
So you heard the word experience. The experience starts when you climb up the ladder. Make sure you're holding on.
Good morning, everybody.
James?
Okay, my departure runway 3, flaps 15 with a right turnout. Stair calls on that 80 and 100 for me on the speed calls, please, Mark. Okay. And then back in here for any issues, any that require alarm and distance. We're starting report bringing. Is emergency hydraulic pump switch on and armed. Hydraulic pressure, normal. Hydraulic quantity, 2.5. Cargo brake, set, go. Output, open, full code, open. Generator, on. Engineer's inverter, off. Heat, off. Still shut off. Check to open, check to pressure light. Check, magneto switch. Off, still barometric pressure. 29 inches. Bellers, lights, full power. Pilot's engineer, by controller. Unlock, by controller. Here's the mail order. Right dealer on up, right dealer on down. Elevator up, elevator down. Rudder right, rudder left. They're pretty nice. Horse range, please. It's good, Lesnar. Go with some emergency brakes. Number 2. Open brake. Hydraulic pressure. 2 normal.
hold on to that for you?
Yeah.
Trying to wait.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed our program. If you like our content, we ask that you give us a thumbs up, a like, share with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell so you always know when our new content is published. And all of this costs nothing, but means a lot to us and keeps us growing. You may also leave us a tip if you choose. The address is provided here on your screen, and a link is provided in the description area below. So until next time, everyone, this one is history.